All right, let's jump right into it. Today we're exploring a truly powerful allegory about the actual hidden cost of living a perfectly comfortable life. It's the story of a young man named Elias and his journey to what's known as the Door of Becoming. We're going to break down his story, and by the end of this explainer, we'll map his lessons directly onto our own daily choices.
So, picture this. Imagine a village completely shrouded in this weird, hollow silence. It's a place where no one ever fails, no one cries, no one struggles, and absolutely no one changes. People there avoid discomfort like the plague. And this is exactly the world of our main character, Elias. He lived a super simple life, waking up at the same hour, working at the same shop, talking to the exact same people every single day. But every night, he felt this quiet emptiness. Not actual physical pain, just a hollow feeling in his chest, because literally nothing in his life was challenging him to grow.
Well, that quiet emptiness gets completely shattered one evening when Elias meets this old traveler sitting outside his shop. The guy's clothes are torn, his hands are heavily scarred, but his eyes, they are just burning with life. And he looks at Elias and asks this deeply provocative question. "Tell me, boy, are you happy or merely comfortable?" Boom, that single question just rocks Elias's world. It forces him to realize that, for his entire life, he'd been dodging difficult conversations, avoiding risks, and running from rejection. And by doing that, he had essentially avoided becoming anything greater. Section 1. The Rusted Gate. Deciding he's finally had enough of that hollow silence, Elias walks to the very edge of the village, and there it is, an enormous, terrifying rusted gate. Now, this perfectly illustrates the exact internal conflict you and I face every single day. On one side, we've got safety and predictability, that comfortable emptiness Elias was used to. But on the other side, uncertainty, pain, and transformation. And here's the kicker. The gate demands a price for entry, not money, comfort. Elias actually has to choose to leave safety behind and step right into painful uncertainty.
When Elias whispers to the gate's guardian that he just wants to feel alive, the guardian doesn't promise him, pots of gold or some magical fairy tale kingdom. Instead, he points into the pitch black and hits him with this heavy truth. Inside, you will meet every weakness you have spent your life hiding from. Because crossing that threshold, it's not about finding a magical realm. It is entirely about facing yourself, completely stripped of all your comfortable excuses.
Elias is trembling at this point, right? So he asks the guardian the million-dollar question, "Is it going to hurt?" And the guardian gives him this beautifully sad smile and says, "Yes, absolutely it will hurt." But then he follows it up with this, "But remaining the same hurts longer." It's a huge light bulb moment for Elias. He realizes that while stepping through the door is going to bring sharp, immediate pain, staying exactly the same is basically a beautiful prison. It's a dull ache that literally stretches on forever. So with shaking hands, he pushes the gate open. Section 2. The 3 Trials. The second Elias is inside the gate, he is slammed with his first trial, failure. He starts attempting things he simply cannot complete. He fails over and over and over again, and every single time his pride takes a massive hit. He wants to quit so badly. But slowly, he completely redefines what failure actually is. It goes from being this humiliating thing to being vital instruction. He figures out that his bruised ego, that's just the feedback he needed to actually learn.
Next up, the trial of loneliness. As Elias starts changing and growing, he learns a really harsh truth. Some people are going to leave you behind. Some people mocked him, while others just honestly preferred the old, quiet version of Elias who never challenged himself or anybody else. The big takeaway here is that sometimes loneliness is just the tax you pay for outgrowing relationships that were built entirely on your shared comfort zones.
Third, he hits the trial of fear. Every single step forward demands that he steps into the unknown. He figures out pretty quickly that if you want to learn a new skill, you have to be okay with being wildly incompetent first. And that redefines courage for him. Courage isn't having zero fear. It's simply taking the step, walking forward, even when your hands are shaking and you are absolutely terrified.
Section 3. The Transformation. So years actually pass inside this gate, and that weak, uncertain kid from the village, he completely vanishes. Now, a really important note here, life didn't magically get easier for him. Actually, scratch that, it got harder. But he became so much stronger through these 3 internal upgrades. His mind was sharpened through hardship, his heart was deepened through pain, and his wisdom expanded through all those mistakes. He was literally rebuilt by the exact friction he used to run away from. Eventually, the day comes for Elias to return to the village.
And people barely even recognized the guy, not because his face looked different, but because his entire vibe had shifted. He carries this quiet, grounded confidence that staying comfortable could never, ever produce. When a kid runs up and asks him what was out there beyond the rusted gate, Elias says, "Everything I was too afraid to become." The exact person he was meant to be was hiding right behind the discomfort he'd been dodging.
All right, so the absolute core lesson we need to pull from Elias's journey is this basic law of nature. Muscles grow by tearing. Wisdom grows through mistakes. Character only grows under pressure. We kind of get tricked into thinking peace comes from avoiding pain, right? But avoiding pain just leaves you paralyzed. You literally cannot level up in life without some amount of friction or tearing.
Section 4. Your daily door.
Okay, so how do we actually use this? How do we take this cool allegory and apply it to a regular Tuesday morning? Because guess what? We all have our own rusted gate. For you, the trial of failure might mean finally tackling that brutal project at work where you might completely mess it up. Loneliness? Maybe that means creating some healthy distance from a friend group that just complains and holds you back. And fear could be as simple as raising your hand in a meeting when you normally just nod along. It is all about actively choosing the friction instead of shrinking away from it.
To really hardwire this into your daily routine, try using this incredibly simple 3-step process every single day. Step 1. Identify your daily door. What is the one uncomfortable task you are actively avoiding right now? Step 2. Accept the impending discomfort. Don't try to sugarcoat it or psych yourself out, just own that it's going to suck a bit. Step 3. Step through and take the risk. Make the intentional trade-off, give up your immediate comfort for some painful but completely necessary growth.
And it all boils down to this one ultimate choice. We are always choosing between two types of pain. Always. We have the pain of discipline and we have the pain of regret. When life forces you to pick between comfort and growth, please choose growth. Because here's the thing, the pain of discipline fades. You do the hard thing, it hurts for a minute, and then you adapt. But the pain of regret, that hollow silence we talked about, man, that echoes forever. Stepping into who you're meant to be will always cost you the person you are right now.
To wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with something to really chew on. The greatest tragedy in life is not suffering, not even close. The greatest tragedy is reaching the very end of your life completely unchanged. So I have to ask you, are you still standing outside the door, just waiting around for courage? Or are you finally ready to step through? Thanks so much for joining me today, and I really hope you choose to push open your